สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Rewadi Pasuniramon and you're watching Business Frontier on TIN Network on True Vision 78. Joining us on location, we have David Baldwin, General Manager of Novotel Bangkok Impact with us. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadee-ka.
Mr. Baldwin. Can I call you David?
Please do.
All right. Any relation to the Hollywood Baldwin?
Well, we were neighbors in New York, but no, I can't claim family
Relations. Okay. All right. Well, now let's talk. I mean, Business Frontier has visited and talked to a lot of general managers and CEOs of hotels, but Novotel Bangkok Impact is a little different, or you may say a lot different from other hotels in the country. But let's start with the overview of the hotel industry in general in Thailand and maybe a little bit for Bangkok as well. How are we looking? I mean, don't we already have enough hotels in the country?
Well, I'm sure you've heard that comment before, particularly in Bangkok. But in my personal experience, I'm coming to Bangkok from Shanghai the last 5 years in China. And leading up to the Beijing Olympics and the World Expo in Shanghai, the growth was incredible.
Phenomenal.
So when we talk about adding hotel rooms and oversupply, nothing quite compares to that pace. That said, yes, Bangkok does have a wealth of hotels at varying price points, though. So that, I think, actually works quite well in their favor. There's a wide variety and a wide range of amenity level, price level, and comfort level. So there's room in the market as long as the market has confidence.
As long as the market has confidence. We'll talk about that in a little while. But for consumers like me, when I look at hotels, they're different because of their locations, number of stars,
Sure.
Maybe decoration and the style the hotel is calling itself. But for an industry insider such as yourself, how many different price differentiation points, different types of hotels or classes of hotels are there?
Well, I think you can simplify it quite a bit. And you talk about economy level,
Okay.
a mid-scale level, and a luxury level. Now in Asia in particular, that picture's getting a little cloudy because people are taking luxury to different lengths. You hear 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars now. I don't really think that has great meaning at a certain point,
Right.
because most of it is self-promotion and not official
Recognition as
star
such.
ratings. But especially nowadays, where we have an increasing number of people entering the travel market, be they from the large dominant markets of China and India, where more and more people are mobilizing. They're obviously going to enter the market at the economy end.
Starting to
Generally so, speaking. And as their travel experiences grow, as their income levels rise, as their curiosity grows, they might move into
what
the
is
next
it
category.
like with a luxury hotel
Sure,
staying at a 6-star hotel?
You know, and of course, budget must allow that. But generally, people will enter at the economy level, and as their experience and comfort level in traveling grows, they might step up on their next visit, or at least one of their trips during the year might be in the next category above. And when you have a robust and strong business climate, obviously that fuels much of the luxury end of travel, or the high-end travel, because when executives are flying 16 hours around the globe for a 2-hour meeting in Bangkok, they're generally going to travel at the highest level.
There, when you say economy, mid-scale, and luxury hotels, I mean, where are the lines drawn for each different categories? Because expensive in Thailand may totally be really affordable when you compare to European cities.
That's a great point. I'll stay with Accor Hotels, our parent company, because
Okay.
I think we define the concepts very well.
You do have different categories of products.
The Ibis brand, which is our economy brand, well represented in Bangkok, as
I
a matter of
always
fact.
call it Ibis. It's IBIS, right?
I'm American, not
Oh,
French. so
tomato,
I'm,
tomato.
you know,
Okay,
exactly.
all right. The brand, that's the economy
That's the economy
scale
brand.
one.
Novotel and Mercure would be the mid-scale, although we're at the 4-star level in the market, and we feel quite comfortable catering to a high-level traveler as well. And then our luxury brands are Sofitel, and we have a boutique segment called M Gallery, which is
Yes.
more design-forward hotels. I come from a boutique background in New York, and Miami, and LA, and so I'm very fashion-forward hotels and design-forward hotels.
We'll talk about how your life has changed from boutique to Novotel a little during the third segment of the show. But so you do have different
We
categories.
do, but you made a great point. that the same labels, the same brands, price points are different in different markets, different cities. So an Ibis hotel, which you can stay in for less than 1,000 baht in Thailand, you may be paying 150 euro for in Paris. Maybe I shouldn't quote a price, but it's just a more expensive
So-
market, more mature market, and they're achieving higher rates in all amenity categories, economy, mid-scale, and luxury. Certain markets, Hong Kong, you're going to pay higher prices than you are in Bangkok right now. That could be viewed as a good thing for Bangkok, but unfortunately, when we talk about the state of the market, I'd say Bangkok and Thailand in general are bargains, but perhaps not for the right reasons.
We're talking about the floods and the
recent,
challenges.
recent history, perception, and particularly in a market such as ours, which is convention and MICE related, that's long-term booking for large-scale events. Generally, windows booking 2 to 3 to 5 years ahead. With recent instability in the past several years, an airport closing, some political
It has
issues, floods,
affected.
that affects people's confidence in making a long-term commitment and booking a large convention or exhibition 3 years ahead.
We'll talk about how Novotel Bangkok Impact has positioned itself and how it has been affected by the challenges in Thailand in 2010, 11, and very recently in 2012 as well. But in general, some of the hotels said that tourists have been extremely understanding when it comes to the country bouncing back from the floods and so on. But it's different from a MICE or event-oriented
Yeah, I'm in a bit
hotel.
of a different market, and it is true. The Thai people, the market, it's so resilient, and the spirit and the hospitality are so strong here.
It's like, we're okay now, come back.
And the world knows that. Thailand has a well-deserved international reputation for their warmth and hospitality. Again, I think it's an embarrassment of riches, the flavors, the culture, the history, the attractions, the climate.
It's a
the hotel
good,
level.
solid
We can
destination.
compete proudly with any market in the world. It's just unfortunate that there's been some uncertainty in recent periods. I think we're certainly moving in a very positive direction. 2012 is off to a great start in all markets right now. And we hope that that's just the beginning because it's time. We're due. But yes, we compete quite well and people do come back. But we don't want to be, I say we in Thailand, we don't want to be known as just a great travel bargain. We want to be known as a great travel value. So that you don't have to give the lowest prices, but that people feel that whatever price they're paying, they're getting more for their travel dollar.
David, before we talk about the factors that you believe influence strongly demand for accommodations and hotels room in Thailand, but for hotels such as Novotel Bangkok, you said yourself that you're geared more towards the MICE industry, the events that's taking place in this area of the city, perhaps. Do hotels like this change who they are to cope with the challenges? Say, for example, you said long-term bookings gone from the unfortunate events that took place in Thailand. Do you try to tap into alternative markets to draw in traffic?
You do change your strategy a bit, but there's certain things that are beyond your control. Namely, I'm not a city center location. I'm not in tourist destinations. So
there's only so much
we'll
you
never
can
be
do.
known as a leisure hotel. Whereas if the business climate is a little uncertain, if you're in a good tourist area, you can still count on the leisure market coming to join you. If you're in a great shopping district. So there are other things at play. For us, when perhaps the convention market might not be at its strongest, we look to what works for us. What do we have? We have industrial estates who are within a 15-kilometer radius of us. They often had to have their executives driving in and out of town to stay downtown. We're quite convenient for them, and we're quite comfortable. There really has never been an international product in this area before. So we've been very warmly welcomed. And I have to say, I've just completed my first year here in Thailand, and I'm still getting to know the geography a bit. But we have friends and clients in all the industrial estates in the surrounding areas, and even throughout the flood period, gave us even more
Business opportunities.
cause to get to know these areas intimately because so many people were affected. And we became something of a haven during that time. And we are right off an expressway, so convenient. And we all know in Bangkok, you don't measure distance by kilometers. You measure it by time and traffic.
Never.
And so
Exactly.
we can be we're generally going against the traffic flow if you're starting here. So it's actually convenient whether your business is to the north in your industrial estates or even south into the city center. We are conveniently located, and that makes a big difference. So
All
we're
right.
doing things like that. We're also working closely with government agencies and ministries because there's quite a bit of business out here. And believe it or not, we do get our share of leisure business, although that's not something we target because, but you know, my recent TripAdvisor reviews are people who've said they've been here from on
Why?
holiday.
Wait, I mean, Novotel is a world-renowned brand.
Sure.
And there are Novotels in the city centers.
Oh,
and there's one new one right next to a very popular wholesale shopping center in
Novotel
Bangkok.
Platinum.
Why did those travelers come to Novotel Bangkok Impact?
Well, you know, some people maybe have an event that they want to attend here, whether it's a concert, whether it's a retail convention, or recently we had Gems and Jewelry Fair. It's an international show that's been here, 49th version of that fair. So that's well established with international guests. So some people may be here for 2 days business, but they'll stay on, of course. I would always look for a reason to stretch my Thailand
Business
time,
trip.
maybe come a weekend before or stay a weekend later. But we do get the occasional leisure guest who doesn't mind, who enjoys being away from the hustle and bustle, if you will, and they'll go out to their day attractions. So we
you
are
do
getting
get
a
those
mix,
travelers as
but
well.
large, by and large, our business is very closely tied to what's going on in Impact. And in that regard, I'm also quite lucky because Impact has a phenomenal infrastructure and it's a world-class facility, one of the largest in Asia and the world, and they're busy.
Now, David, I previewed earlier that I'm curious as to what factors influence demand for hotel rooms in a country for all categories of hotel. Can you list them out for us?
Well, you have seasonal demand.
Okay. Seasonal demand, we're talking the months that Thailand doesn't see rain, right?
It's even more than that. Look at the weather patterns in the source markets. You can't play golf in Korea in the wintertime, but you certainly Thailand is an even more attractive place for golfers. Anyone traveling from the north in cold climates loves Thailand year round. Even what we would call rainy season or low season, that's a
They're okay
wonderful
with
time
that?
for people coming from Russian markets, northern markets. It's lovely. Even Australia has different seasonal patterns than I'm accustomed to in the West. My winter is summer and their summer is, you know. So seasonal patterns on both sides.
Both sides, yep.
Events drive things, be they business events like conventions, be they entertainment or sporting events. We happen to be right across the street from the home of Mongtong United, who in the last 2 years have been the Thai Premier League champions.
Mongtong United as
Oh
well.
my gosh, I don't miss a game. And our Premier Lounge is probably one of the best places to watch their games.
Exactly.
So they're great sporting events. We have 2 top-notch tennis academies within a few hundred meters of our front door. The concert schedule at Impact last year was amazing with international events, both from the States, from Korea, from Japan, and a lot. I'm learning much more about the Thai music scene. We just finished
Korean
a
music
big,
scene as
big
well.
music festival outside at the lakeside this
So
past weekend.
all
So-
around factors, tourism, entertainment, sports, even business.
And business, a healthy business climate really is the spur to everything. It helps jumpstart all. Thailand, of course, will always be rich as a tourism destination, but business for Bangkok especially. People will do their business in Bangkok, and then maybe, hopefully, stretch it with a weekend at the beach on the way home.
What's the strongest or what's the most important factor that would guarantee demand for hotels accommodation in Thailand? Would it be the attractive destinations we have in Thailand, the vibrant climate, cultures and food, business drive, business activities, and political stabilities? Don't say all of them. Or at
No.
least rank them for
No,
me.
but different people have their priorities, you know, because we have different segments of travelers. Leisure travelers aren't as concerned about the business climate. They'll just see that it might be a bargain because of, you know, what's going on, more attractive pricing. Our location in Asia is also a great deciding factor because we're so easily accessible. So it's airlift, you know. What are the schedules? How convenient are they from neighboring countries? We happen to be quite fortunate in that regard.
So,
So airfares, air schedules, business climate, absolutely, I think is the driver. Whether it's the banking business downtown or the exhibition business here, that really is the backbone of the industry. Although Thailand, I'm sure, in the world's eye, is more famous for tourism.
do you think as well seasonality for hotels are changing with the freak weather patterns and everything else that's going on?
Well, I don't think recent periods can be, are typical indicators, but at the same time, what's typical now? I think we're all guessing a little bit as
Exactly.
to what's going to happen next year. You look back, it used to be fairly predictable, but certainly in the last 10 years, we've had some major events that have surprised everybody. Maybe we shouldn't be so surprised anymore, but nobody has an answer yet.
Right.
There are things that are predictable, rain seasons, whatnot, but
Well, not so much anymore.
well,
You
no.
don't know when it's going to rain anymore.
no, but you're right. It's less predictable, but I don't think we're at a point where we can safely
So there's
establish
no
a new pattern
new.
yet.
Okay.
No. Now, seasonality doesn't affect a city hotel as much as it does resort business, of course, because people do, when they're planning a trip to the seaside, of course, they prefer to be in dry season, and you can't guarantee that either when we're traveling. So
So you're more or less least impacted.
no,
by,
we're more affected by business climate and political climate
All right.
in
Well,
our location.
David, on that note, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the beginning of Novotel Bangkok Impact and its location, how it's different from other hotels in the city. And last but not least, of course, we'll talk about marketing, how he gets the message about Novotel Bangkok Impact out there into the market. Stay tuned.